understand if you're...
I'm extending the talus at the tibiotalar joint in dorsiflexion. The talus is moving up. Now, you haven't had the foot yet, so you may not know what talus is.
Yeah.
It's that thing.
Yeah.
Okay? That's extension, because this is extension, and this is extension. They're all moving in the same direction.
Thinking about it, like the bicep, like so you're flexing.
Well,
extension, so is it that same kind of, because it like the...
okay, here's the thing.
Elbow?
He said below the knee.
When I'm above the knee, flexion is anterior, right? Till I get to the knee. And if the knee things suddenly change, because if you think about it, the knee's put on backwards. I mean, where is the pointy part here is in the back. Where's the pointy part? So actually, your knee's put on backwards. Now, no, it's not backwards. It's the way it's supposed to be. But structurally, things change at the knee. So now, moving forward or anterior is extension. Moving the toes, anterior is extension. So moving the foot, anterior is extension. Going down is flexion. Just like going down with the toes is flexion. Now, that's to be considered. So what did we do? We got rid of that because we couldn't remember it, so we talked about dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. But wait a minute. The extensor hallucis longus extends the great toe, right? But it begins on the tibia. So it also moves the ankle. And it's extending the ankle also, which is dorsiflexion. It's only tricky because we have to think differently. Okay, that's a good question. It's not my area because I'm not supposed to be talking about that, but hey, that never stopped me before.
Well, you just mentioned it on the last thing, so...
I mentioned it because it gets important. Where the other place that's going to blow your mind is what is flexion, what's extension and abduction of the thumb. Because you are taught that this is the anatomical position. Wrong! This is the anatomical position. And you're going to see very few textbooks that ever bring that out. But once you get that, then you can start naming the movements of the thumb. Because this is extension. I'm sorry, this is abduction. Excuse me, this is abduction. This is extension. It seems backwards. And it is, except that this is the anatomical position. You know, if you survive going through the thumb, more power to you. The hand's bad enough till you hook on the thumb, because it's put on wrong. It's right, but it's wrong. It's structurally different. Other questions? Okay, let me get on my soapbox just a little bit, because I saw something on Tuesday that I want to get you out of. One of my former colleagues, Mary Lee Seibert, became a big dean and vice president and all that crap, you know, like Elvis. He's still just dean. He's not vice president yet, but who knows. She was in medical laboratory, and she once told me the story that she got through into her clinicals avoiding ever doing a venipuncture. She would always argue around it and not do it. Finally, one day, one of the physicians sat down and he said to her, "You are not leaving this room until you draw my blood." He made her do it. She found out she could do it now. What I saw some of you doing yesterday is finding surface anatomy on yourself. There's a problem with that. When I do surface anatomy on a patient, what feeling do I have?
Fingers.
Only in my fingers. When you do it on yourself, you have two sensory inputs. You have the sensory input from your fingers, but you also have the sensory input from your somatic sensation of your body. Sure, you can find it on yourself. If you don't find it on other people, you're going to look darn embarrassed like Mary Lee did, because your clinical instructor is going to say, I want you to check for pelvic obliquity in that lady over there. You find out she weighs 300 pounds, she's got her abdomen hanging down over her anterior superior iliac spines, and you're supposed to go find it, and all you've ever felt it on is yourself. I don't know, I used to have students sign a form saying they were going to be subjects. I don't know if you still have to sign that or not. If they don't, they're making a huge mistake. The lawyers suggested I do that. I asked a question in a meeting of the lawyers and various people one day, and the answer of the lawyer is, no good deed goes unpunished. Okay? So, but anyway, find it on other people. And have other people find it on you, because you'll feel it differently then too. Okay? And find it on both persuasions, male and female, especially in the pelvis, because the pelvis points differently in a female than a male. If you go out in an archaeological dig, how do you know a male pelvis from a female pelvis? The other stuff isn't hooked on there anymore, but the obliquity, the angles of the ASIS, and the shifting of the pelvis tells you whether it's a male or female. Yeah, I took comparative osteology, ethnozoology 1. Why? Because one of my other friends took a botany class, so I took a weird archaeology class. I spent a whole semester looking at bones dug up from mounds. I could at the time tell you the difference between a deer femur and a bear femur and so forth. It's been very useful to me as I've gone through my life. Something I've been called upon to do multiple times. Okay, so that's my soapbox. Now, I feel like we didn't do the iliopsoas yesterday. Is that correct? Or the Tuesday? I sort of skipped that somehow. We better do that. It's one of the more important